Welcome to the 360 Sports Network Road to the Final Four podcast series, where we break down every conference tournament on the way to the big dance to see who will receive those automatic bids to the NCAA Tournament and whose bubbles might just have burst. Because before you can fill that field of 68, we must first get through the conference championships. I'm James Dotson, and tonight we want to look at the Big South Tournament. Now, one thing is for certain in the Big South this year, and that is that nothing is certain in the Big South this year. Any of the 12 teams that are heading down to Myrtle Beach for the Big South Tournament have a legitimate chance to win the automatic bid. And that's because all teams have double-digit losses, with at least 4 of those losses coming within conference. UNC Asheville isn't on our radar for winning the tournament. They did win the regular season and conference titles last year, but just because they're not on our radar doesn't mean they couldn't go out there and win 4 games in a row to make it to the NCAA Tournament again. It's just very wide open in the Big South. Now let's start with out of the South region. The number 1 team coming out of the South is Charleston Southern. They've struggled away from home this year, and that's my main concern. 8 of their 11 losses came away from their home court. I do like the Buccaneers' balanced offense. They have 4 starters who average double figures. But, again, away from home, it scares me. They're led by Saw Nimley. He's their sophomore point guard. He is the biggest factor for Charleston Southern. But I really use the word biggest here very tentatively because he's only 5'8" tall. But somehow he leads the team with 16 points per game, leads the team with 5 assists per game, and also somehow brings down 5 rebounds per contest, which is second best on their team. If Nimley goes off like he's done many times this year, Charleston Southern will probably represent the Big South. Again though, away from home, how well will they perform at Myrtle Beach? I know it's pretty close to home, but it's not home court. Now, the number 2 team coming out of the South, Gardner-Webb. They're on a 7-game winning streak, which means I'm going to give them a little bit of an edge because they're the team that's streaking right now. They defeated Charleston Southern twice this year, both times in overtime. So if they were to meet again, it would be a very interesting conclusion to the season. It's all 2 games so far have been close. I would expect the 3rd game to be close as well. The running Bulldogs for Gardner-Webb, they don't exactly run the ball up and down the court, do they? They're a very balanced attack, and they don't light up the scoreboard. If senior guard Tayshawn Newsome, if he plays his game, Gardner-Webb will be the Big South representative. It's as simple as that. Now, the number 1 team out of the North, High Point. They have a great story behind him. I really like Allan Chaney. He's a 6'9" forward from Baltimore. He has not played college basketball since the 08-09 season. Back then he played for the Florida Gators. He transferred to Virginia Tech after having issues with Coach Billy Donovan down there, and he got suspended for some games. He sat out a year for the Hokies, while he sat out his transfer, but then a year later he collapsed during a practice on April 21st. He had to be revived by a team trainer. It turned out that he had an infection of the heart that caused inflammation. He has finally now been granted medical permission to play basketball again. He is transferred to High Point, where he now plays with a pacemaker embedded in him, and a backup pacemaker in case the first one fails. It's a very great story because now he leads the team in minutes, first of all, is impressive enough after not playing in so many years and having a heart condition. Leads the team in minutes, leads the team in rebounds, leads the team in free throw percentage. And he's up at the top for points per game as well. The team has lost 2 of their last 3 games, though. So the team as a whole, I'm also a little bit shaky because you want to be solid going into your conference tournament, and losing 2 out of your last 3 doesn't help. I would love to see Allan Chaney make it to the NCAA Tournament. However, I think Gardner-Webb is the best team. They're on the hot streak right now, and that's what's going to make the difference. When the Panthers and the Running Bulldogs played earlier this year, High Point shot 59% from the field, and they still won by only 6 points playing at home. In a neutral court game, I don't see High Point shooting that well. I think Gardner-Webb will then have the advantage because they will control the pace of the game. Either way, I say whatever team wins that semifinal game is the team that will end up representing the Big South in the NCAA Tournament. Whoever wins that automatic bid, look for that representative to probably be in the first 4 game playing in Dayton as the 16th seed. Well, that's it for this episode of The Road to the Final Four for the Big South Conference Tournament. Follow us on Twitter at 3S Network. Keep tabs on our website, 360sportsnetwork.com, for all of your updates leading up to Selection Sunday. And stay tuned for future podcasts as we fill the field of 68 and help make your brackets be the best they can be. For 360 Sports Network, I'm James Dotson. Have a good evening.